Hey everybody. You know what? I'm really glad that you stopped by to join today. This is the Jason Scott show, and I've got a really great show for you today. It's going to be part one of a series that I've decided to do on Paizo Adventure Paths. Now, I mean, we had talked a little bit about gaming. We had talked a little bit about in our last show. But what I would like to do this time around, I really want to do like a drill down. I really want to get into Pathfinder Adventure Paths. They represent such an opportunity for new gamers. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. So I wanted to kind of present that. I wanted to put some of the pros, some of the cons, because I get questions. I get people asking me. They ask me questions, about like, well, where do I get started? How do I do this? What's the best course to take? What are some of the pros? What are some of the cons of this? Not just tabletop gaming, but specifically, all right, what are the advantages of going with, down like the road of the adventure path as opposed to, doing a freeform game, doing an episodic game, doing whatever in terms of, how does this affect your group and what are the advantages? So that's what we're gonna talk about. This is gonna be part one in a series where I'm gonna be talking about this. So sit back and enjoy, and let's get into this. Okay, all right. Okay, so the good or the pros, the things that I would recommend. Let's start off with basically every single Pathfinder Adventure Path is a self-contained, start to finish continuity. It's a self-contained campaign that, there are times when you're like, oh gosh, how am I going to end this? How am I going to bring this to a conclusion? What's going to happen as the characters develop and become really powerful, etc., etc. And these are things that if you don't already have worked out, if you don't already have kind of an idea of where you want to take the campaign, sometimes it can get to be a nightmare, especially like if you're midway through a campaign and you're like, oh my god, how am I going to bring this to a close? I have no idea. No, you don't got to worry about that. Pathfinder Adventure Paths, they basically have all of that laid out right from the start. Okay. Number two, much of the work is already done. I mean, let's face it, man. We live busy lives. We're busy people. We got jobs. We've got basically things that we do. We've got, wives, girlfriends, significant others, what have you. And it's like, who has time to sit down and write up descriptions for like 6 hours, write up, monster stats, write up all these different aspects of a campaign that you don't think about when you're like, I'm going to come up with a campaign today. And it's like, no. That's already done. You don't have to worry about that. Number three, the third thing that I kind of wanted to say is a definite good. There's a lot of electronic support now. Lone Wolf Labs, and some of the other ones, they're like really starting to pick up on the fact that most gamers, if not, an overwhelming majority of tabletop gamers, let's face it, these are people with a degree of technical acumen, so they know how to use computers, they know how to download files, so they're providing more and more electronic support that can be used, to keep track of characters, to keep track of combat, to keep track of initiative, to keep track of all the little bric-a-brac that can be a total nightmare for a new GM in terms of like, oh, well, gosh, I got like 15 books and papers that I need now to use, to keep track of all this stuff. The fourth thing that I wanted to talk about was each adventure path. At least maybe this is just one of my observations, but each adventure path has some kind of extra component that really makes it unique, that really makes it stand out. There's ones that take place on pirate ships. There's gypsy caravans. There's different research levels, and there's all of these different aspects of each campaign. Oh well, here's a revolution, and like you now one of the extra facets or components of this campaign is tracking how the revolution is going, etc., etc. And these are individual components that are part of a campaign that make it unique. So that's one definite pro. That's one definite thing that I look at and I say, okay, this is good. Now, also there's a lot of varied encounters. It's like there are like lots of combats. There's lots of there's traps for pretty much every possible taste. Lots of magic using encounters. There's social encounters. There's different diplomatic encounters. There's these different kinds of encounters that some are there's heavy combat, but there's also opportunities for characters, for instance, to utilize their skills, to utilize some of the different abilities that often go underutilized, that go kind of forgotten on a character sheet. And so that's one of those things that, like, the writers, they have a tendency to they think about that. So those are, there's others that I'm not including on this list, but those are the big ones. Those are the big ones that I say these are definite pros and reasons to recommend. Okay, everybody. Well, really, that's all the time we've got for today. So be sure to join us. Be sure to join us next time. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is some of the unique challenges that Pathfinder, the Adventure Paths, have to deal with. So, we'll talk about some of the things some of the problems that you as a potential GM have to overcome if you want to engage and utilize Adventure Paths. So that's coming up next time. And in the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe below. And you take care.